Alright, so what we should be at now is that we have our research done. So you have a bunch of images, you have an idea of what you want to do with it. And then we have to go on to the next process of this, which is creating thumbnails. Okay, so before we've even gotten to the point of building something inside of Photoshop, really, we want to create thumbnails. So I'm going to provide this sheet here, it just says thumbnails, and there are some blocks. And then you're going to fill out 2 of these sheets with different ideas, different layouts of ways that you want to kind of showcase your scene. So try to focus on different ways to present the material. Don't try to create something that obviously you can't do because we only have these images. So if I have this computer, I really can't have the computer being a different kind of computer or being in a different location or being like head on. That's why I have different images of this that I need. Okay. So what I want to do first is I'm going to make a file inside of Photoshop that I could have like side by side with this, so I can see what all my images are without having to look at my other screen here, because these are kind of a bit smaller, and I could make them taller by going to my view and then extra large icons, but then I have to scroll. I don't want to do that. Okay, and this is a good technique too for if you have lots of pictures, what you can use this for. So under File, I'm going to go to Automate, and I'm going to make a contact sheet. And all we do is we grab a folder, so we go to Choose, we find our folder, hit OK. You can include subfolders, it should be the only one. Alright, so we have that, include subfolders. Here's the size, 8 by 10 by 300. If you're a photography person, this may be something you definitely want to know how to do, because this is where you can create a contact sheet that you can give to a client. Use file names as captions. So this is kind of a handy way to know exactly what file name it is. I don't really need this, so I can check that off, but just so you can see it, it's just going to create a name underneath each one of them. Okay, so I'm going to say, there's also a cross, so 5 columns, 6 rows. So this one page will house 30 images, just so you know that there is a limit. So now when I hit OK, what Photoshop's going to do is run through this action of importing each picture, sizing it, putting the text here of what the stuff is, and then once it's done, we'll have a grid of all of our images. Alright, so here is what they came up with. Here's the contact sheet. So you can see I have all the images, and there's their title next to it. And so this is something that I could, in Photoshop, just kind of pull off and maybe scoot it over. Come on. There we go. So I could shrink this and kind of keep it off to this side, or I could shrink it and put it onto my other screen. Okay, so now what we're going to be doing with these thumbnails, what thumbnails are is basically just let me just organize some stuff. Basically just an idea of what we want to use for our image, like what we want to actually create as our final image. So before we get into the nitty-gritty of making a whole bunch of Photoshop work, we want to see different layouts, like different placements of items in our scene. So we want to kind of lay it out in a small format, make sure everything fits. It gives us a good idea of perspective, it gives us a good idea of layout, items we're going to have in the scene, maybe something that we'll need extra. So the goal with this is that by the end you have a better idea of how things should be laid out. I'm going to throw my brushes on my other screen, or right there. So start with one of your images. Okay, so start with something like, I'm going to start with like that there, and I'm going to go to my thumbnail sheet. Oops. And I'm going to make sure I have a new layer, and I'm just going to kind of rough in where this is at. Okay, so just kind of placing this item here. Right, so some kind of technical thing there. What else could I put inside here, right? Let's see, this big room here I could obviously use to my advantage too, right? And I can get a sense of scale, like, okay, well now this is maybe a little bit too big, so let me just hit undo, or in this case I can use my eraser, because we're not locked into anything. It's just a matter of us kind of playing with the idea of what we want to happen. So So then we're just kind of sketching in the layout of this. And again, it gives you a good idea of perspective and scale and all the stuff that you're really going to need to make this job work. Okay, so there's that. So let me go back and draw this thing. We can change perspective. We can change perspective a little bit, but not much. So, you know, that item here, I'm going to throw that way in the back, right? So that gives me a better idea of where these things are located, right? And then size too. There's a bookshelf, so maybe I'll throw the bookshelf over here. Right, so you get the idea of what's happening with this. And it's literally just a matter of kind of going through your images and seeing what you want where. These things here, now in this case I really don't have a spot for them, so I'm not going to use that image for this specific one. I do want to have a desk. I had a desk picture here. This is a desk picture there. So that's going to be kind of front and center. So I'm going to put that here. Right, and then here's my computer. It wouldn't make sense for this computer to be facing this way on the desk because the person would be sitting like right here. Right, so what I want to do is I want to ignore the person for now and see what else we can do. My pizza boxes, right? So pizza boxes, and you have to fit 10 of these images inside here. So again, this gives you a good amount of what you're going to be putting inside the scene as to what needs to go where. Okay, so there's some pizza boxes here. There's a pizza box. I had one. Yeah, that one there. There's my pizza box on the desk. Okay. There's a wastebasket, so I'll just... Oops. Come on, stop doing that. Hide the wastebasket over here. There's a robot. Obviously I want to have a robot in the scene, so maybe I'll put the robot back here. Oops, way too big. There we go. Paper is scattered, right? So paper is scattered on the floor. All right, and don't spend like an enormous amount of time on any one of these. You can see how quickly I'm just kind of sketching out where I want certain things to go. Okay, so this is like one of my layouts. Now I'm going to go to this other one and sketch out a different one. So maybe this one I'll start with this image. So just kind of eyeballing the perspective of this. That goes pretty small, so it's like this big. Okay, and then here, see we have those racks there. So that would be a good spot to kind of throw in those racks. Like way in the back here are these racks, just technology way in the back. Maybe up close we have one of these bigger racks. And then right here is our desk. Okay, now in this case I'll if I decide like, oh, this is cool, I want to have this desk kind of facing where we're at so I can see the front of the computer screen, then just shove it off to one side and then I put the computer on it. Okay, I can use my eraser too if I start getting a little bit dirty inside here, where I'm just, my lines are blending in and I can't see what's going on. Okay, so not perfect, but it gives you the idea of what the computer is. And here's the desk. Chalkboard, I'll throw a chalkboard on here. Back here, some words. Throw a chalkboard on this side too. I'll scatter papers here, scatter papers over there. I'll put a waste bucket in the back. Put a robot over here on the wall. What else do I got? I got the whole wall of computers right here too that I could use So maybe I'll flip those and kind of push these right here. Not flip them, but just shrink them. Right? So again, it gives you an idea of what's going to be happening in the scene. So what you're going to do is you're just going to go through and try to create different ideas, okay, of how you want to tell this story. Now this might mean that you know, like pretty much these two right here are my main images for rooms. So I may say, you know what, I'm going to go out and look and see if I can find some more images of rooms. Or I may find that, you know, I don't like this computer or this one or that one. And I go out and find more images of computers or more images of desks. So feel free to add more images to this. But in the end, you will be using 10 total different images at least to create your imagery. Okay, so that's where we're going to be at with this one. And then once you get done, you'll be turning in this. Now this is layer 1. So I'm going to turn layer 1 off, and then I will click a new layer, and then I will start to draw in layer 2 stuff. Okay, so you're going to have 2 of these that you're going to turn in. Now if you decided you wanted to draw these out by hand because you prefer that over trying to draw it in the computer, you could print them up and then somehow scan them in. Like you can use your phone or you can use whatever to do that. Okay, and then just you'll turn in one file still that you'll put into your Photoshop file and then turn that one file in. Okay, so you'll be turning in the storyboard with this kind of stuff inside here. But if you don't have the image, you can't do it. It's impossible to do it without the image. So if I had like this thing, this is just like a little car. I don't have a picture of a car anywhere inside this list. So I can't use this car in here unless I have a picture of a car. Okay, so this would be a, no. There we go. Okay, no. So then we'd have to find a picture of a car, and then I could use that picture, but I have to find the image first, and it has to be something that is usable. Okay, so save this into your, here's my imagery. So you're going to save this into your thumbnails part B file. So that's where you're going to save this. Make sure your name is on it. And then make sure it's also inside of your Dropbox turn-in folder. Okay, so that's it for the second part.